If you struggle with confidence and you want to learn how to build your self-confidence, we have the episode for you today. We have the confidence queen herself, Achieng Agutu Do, on the show, and she's giving us the secrets on how to build your self-confidence, find your value, know your worth, reclaim your power, be your own best friend, because the world is going to actually see you how you see yourself. So you better know your value, know your worth, know what you bring, know how incredible you are. You're going to learn how to build those muscles and build your self-confidence. So enjoy the show. If you haven't hit subscribe, please do so. It helps us so much and it means the world. Thank you, Heal Squad, and enjoy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Better Together. When you know better, you get better. That's what we try to do here every single day. At least that's our goal. Our quote of the day: no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. That is Eleanor Roosevelt. I think what she's basically saying is we have to be superheroes and like Wonder Woman, that shit when it's coming our way.
Stop it.
Stop it. You cannot make me feel inferior unless I allow you to. Heal Squad, hello. Welcome back. Today we're going to be chatting with confidence queen herself, Achieng Agutu Do. She's going to help us all step into our power and our energy and live unapologetically ourselves. Confidence is an interesting thing because I know that we can all either have it or not. Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. In some areas you have it, in some areas you don't. I know growing up, I think I had some level of confidence, but then not otherwise, because it was hard. You're growing up, you don't speak English. So I was always outcasted, which doesn't help.
Right.
But when Kevin met me, it was funny. His observation of me, he's like, you are Teflon, nothing hits you. And I'm like, really? So he, it's funny to see what other people kind of observe of you too. And then whether it's congruent with your inner feelings is interesting. Like, for example, I had a boss who was like, he told Kevin once, he goes, I don't even understand. Her ass is huge and she doesn't even care. Literally.
You're like, oh, thanks. What?
That was years ago before, like, that was definitely something that, couldn't be said.
Yeah.
But I mean, it couldn't be said then, but we had a good relationship where that wasn't something that was going to bother me. But that was like pre the moment when big butts became a thing. Until then, all I had was Sir Mix-a-Lot singing I Like Big Butts.
He loved you.
And so, but it's funny, I very early on knew that I was always going to have a little cushion. Like, even when I competed in pageants, I was like, I'm never going to be the girl that's going to be so fit and perfect, because I didn't care to be that. And so I was like, I'm not going to give up eating my Snickers bars so that I can look perfect for this pageant. They're going to love me for me. And they did, to a degree. Right? Didn't get me to win the big pageants in the end, but, and I never wanted to go down the path of like full-on modeling, because I was like, oh, they're not going to let me eat. So I need to go down other paths. So I found other paths where I could fulfill my need for being in the spotlight, let's say, or whatever it was, being in this industry and not have to do that. And so it's funny, like, even just doing the movie recently, I said to Kevin, I'm like, oh gosh, gotta get in shape. What if there's a scene I have to do where, you gotta like show a little bit more leg or something. I haven't worked out. Like, things are a little loose. I know anybody out there would be listening and saying, what? But we all know our bodies. Right. Shit's loose, guys. It just is. But I've also was so grateful that I've never had to worry, because that was never what it was about. Mm-hmm. And so it's funny, but we had someone on this show and she wrote a confidence book. And that's when I realized, oh, I don't have confidence like I thought I did. Or maybe they just chipped away enough at me over the years where it finally kind of, the enamel on my teeth just started to go. Too much acid, too much lemon juice. So I have to ask you, queens, how do you feel in the confidence department?
It's funny. Because something like sticks in my head. I had a professor one time tell me, he was like, God, Kelsey, you come off so confident, but I know like internally you're not. Like, And I was like, damn, he was like one of the first people to ever like say that to me and like really pinpoint it because it's true. Like I've had people be like, yeah, what? You're so confident. And that is how I present. But I think that like I am in a lot of ways, but I'm also not in a lot of ways. So yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm at, where it's like I second guess in my mind. Maybe I don't show it, but like I am second guessing myself, and I'm not necessarily like fully as confident as I could be.
Yeah. Body image wise, are you confident?
Only like recently.
Yes, queen, because I saw that Instagram shot
Thank
and
you.
you were fire.
Thank you.
I was like, holy body. Holy body.
Thank you. I think I also like have gotten to a place in it where it was like no girl puts on a bikini and is like, I look good. And that like breaks my heart. And I'm like, F that. Wear the bikini, freaking do it. I still go back and forth, but then you have like good ass friends. Like Pooja's like, you look so good. And I'm like, thank you. So yeah, I think obviously it goes up and down. There's days where I'm like not feeling good, but I really try hard to be like, we're good. We're okay. We're not prepubescent tween bodies anymore. Like we are women. And like you said, I'm like, I'm going to eat food. So, so yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, that Instagram reminded me of like 90s supermodel moment of Stephanie Seymour. You probably are not familiar with Stephanie Seymour or Cindy. So it was like Cindy and Stephanie Seymour were the ones who had more bodies. I mean, they were still super thin, right? But they were more like strong bodied,
right, muscle.
And I was like, shit, Queen's got it going on.
Thanks, Queenie.
Yeah, so it was good. And I love that you're finding that confidence. So what I always tell people, you can either spend your life looking in the mirror and looking at every little teeny thing and think of what that does to your psyche, your body chemistry, all of it, and how much wasted time, or you can just go out and live, because none of us are looking in the mirror and thinking we look perfect. Just like you said, none of us are thinking, oh, I got this on like,
on lock. Yeah.
On lock. Everyone has something. So just go out and live your life. I have a friend who is literally wasted, I would say 50% of her life or more stressing about her body.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
She's a size 0. She looks amazing. She looks half her age always, no matter what she does. And she just bakes in the sun all day. And I always looked at her and I said, I don't want to be that. And not that she's amazing in all these other ways, but that part of it looked like such a waste of time for me. So even if I've got a little cellulite, even if I'm a little extra, whatever it is, and you've watched me, I'm like, whatever, it is what it is. Yep. And I don't want to waste that precious time. Yeah. So when you think about body image stuff, like I hope maybe that will like resonate with somebody listening today. Pooja, how is your confidence?
Well, just one thing on the body image thing. I was talking to my friend about this the other day, and we're saying how we will always look back on photos and we've like never been like 100% confident and be like, wow, we looked so good then. But at that time we're like, oh my God, we look terrible. And I'm like, we'll never be happy, so why, or we'll never be 100% like, oh, we look amazing. So like you were saying, just like embrace it. Like you do look amazing, first of all, but also like, it's just proven. Like you look back and you're like, I look great then. But at that time I was like, no, I don't. So it's like just this never ending cycle in your head. And it's like, I finally was just like, I'm over it. Like, I'm so over it. And even earlier this summer, I was like, I had trips and I had events and I was so careful with what I ate and I was trying to be healthy and I was doing all my walks, which I'm not saying I'm being super unhealthy. I'm not doing my exercise, but I'm not as stressed about it. I'm not like, you can only have this many calories today and you burn this much. Like that was such an unhealthy mindset. And it's just so not worth it. I'm like, no, if I want to eat like that dessert more than once a week, like I will. I can have it every day if I want. And it's completely fine. And it's fine if I gained a little weight. Who cares? Like we all look great. We should all be striving just to be happy with what we have, which I know is so hard. But yeah, with confidence, I think it's just a daily thing, which is why I'm excited for today, for those days that maybe you're feeling a little less confident, if she has some tools or tricks to get you back in that, more positive mindset.
Yeah, I love that you said that because I've had so many of those moments when I look back too and I'm like, oh, wow, I should have appreciated this time more. That's why like I posted my little thirst trap photo recently. I was like, you know what? I got to use it while I got it.
Yeah.
Like, why am I so prudy and nervous to like post something? And so, yeah, enjoy it and try to remember that it's kind of fleeting because we're just going to keep shifting and changing until
Right.
we grannies.
For real. So love what you got.
I love what you got while you got it.
For real.
The other thing I want to talk to Achieng about is building off confidence and those moments. So sometimes it takes you having that kind of leap of faith and that courageous moment to do something that you're scared of or intimidated of, and then have it go well so that you can get that affirmation. And that affirmation is like your ammunition you store in your tool belt. And you're like, oh, okay, I got this. Now, we don't always want it to come from external forces. It would be great if we could just be like, I was amazing. I knocked it out of the park today. But if no one told you knocked it out of the park, it might be hard. Usually we need to hear, oh my God, you just killed that speech. And then you can build off of that and you can say, oh, first of all, I know what I did, the formula. Like for me, when I gave that speech at Ed Milet's event, now I know I meditated before. I knew I was drawing. My confidence was going to come from my intention, which I really hold on to all the time now. What a great line he said. My confidence comes from my intention. And then building off of that. So now anytime I'm doing something I'm nervous or insecure, I'm not going to be good at, I remember that moment. I go back to the formula and it's helped me every single time. So sometimes you need to step out of your comfort zone to build that confidence. It's not going to just show up. And I'd be curious to see how Achieng has kind of done it. So without further ado, Achieng Agutu is known as the confidence queen, none other than by Vogue magazine. I mean, you can't get any better than that. Called her the confidence queen. She's an internet personality who's quickly grown her creative force, infectious energy, and charisma. If you watch her YouTube videos, you will see she is quite infectious. Her content empowers women to be the best versions of themselves and has filled a massive gap in the self-love, self-confidence, and body positivity industry as a leading Black plus-sized fashion and lifestyle creator. Better Together and the Heal Squad welcomes Achieng Agutu.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Where are you coming to us from?
I'm in New York, Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, very nice. We are in Los Angeles, so coast to coast.
Yes.
We're gonna give a big confidence sandwich to everyone in the middle of us.
Absolutely, yes. Feel the love, feel the energy, feel the power. Love it.
So you came to this country when you were 16 from Kenya. I love Kenya. I had such a great trip there years ago. It's so beautiful. And you've had quite the journey. I mean, Ellen had you on her show. Vogue called you the confidence queen. Tell me how this kind of all came about for you, because I imagine, you know, you come here, you don't know what's going to happen, right? I don't know what your initial path was supposed to be, but somehow you got here. So share with us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, honestly, I really didn't know I would be doing this in my life. I moved here when I was 16. I moved to Richmond, Indiana, which is a whole other ball game. I don't know if people here have been to Indiana. And I was just like, I moved here for school. I was looking for something better than what I was getting in Kenya. I felt like my parents knew, like they wanted to give me some sort of voice because the space that I was in was just not conducive for me and the person they knew I was and had to become. And so I just came here to sort of like expand myself, you know, and I lived in Richmond, Indiana for a few years. I lived in the Midwest for about 5 years before I moved out to Boston and New York. And, you know, in my head, I was going to go to college, graduate with the honors, get the good job, get the family, get the husband and all that stuff. And so that was sort of my journey. And that's what I wanted until like I got to this point where I felt like I was living for my parents, you know, regardless of how good they wanted my life to be and all the fun things they wanted for me to experience. I was still living for them, right? Like get the job, get the husband, the beautiful house, the many children. And that's not what I wanted. Like
so many people do that though. How did you come to that acknowledgement point where you realize this is what you were doing and making the decision, which is, by the way, very scary, to go a different direction?
I was just not happy. I wasn't happy, and I knew I was living in somebody else's shoes and not mine. I never felt comfortable. I never felt confident. I never felt like I could just be myself. And so I was pretty much just living for other people. And it took a lot of healing and a lot of work for me to be like, hold up, like, what do you want? Achieng Agutu, okay? What do you feel like you love? What do you love to eat? What do you like to wear? What do you want your hair to look like? What kind of people do you want to surround yourself around? And I think when I started having those thoughts, I felt like it was like a future version of myself that was waiting for me to like do what I needed to do in that moment to get to where I needed to be.
Wow. So you kind of from the ground up created a new version of you in a sense.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
cool.
cool.
the version of myself where I didn't really care what other people were thinking of, or the version of myself where I was vibrant and vivacious and carefree and living in my own element.
Was it easier to do with distance from your family?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's honest. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, really. Because I think, I come from a very conservative family. And I felt like I had to be a very specific person for my parents to feel like loved and accepted. And even just with my extended family. And so,
because they want to keep you in a box.
Yeah.
That's the hard thing is if you never leave your family, it's really hard to become your true expression of yourself, because no matter how much they love you, no matter how good their intentions are, they see you in a certain way. And now you see yourself in that certain way.
Yeah. And I just think I was able to really grow into myself. Like there was this family I was living with here when I moved to Indiana, and I call her my host mom. Her name is Eden, fabulous woman. She would always tell me like, have you tried this? Have you tried this sport? Have you tried, doing this class? Have you tried even letting your hair down? Literally, I would always have my hair up in a bun, and I would always be so afraid to just let it down like the way I have it right now, because I was afraid like it looked too much. Like it would be too much for people. It was too much for me. It was too suggestive. That's what I thought. And so when she asked me let me just see you with your hair down, actually. And I was so terrified, and I put it down, and she was like, I asked her is this too much? And she was like, no, absolutely not. You look so fabulous. Really that I feel like when I started having moments like that, actually literally let your hair down, both, figuratively and literally, that is kind of when I started stepping into having my own voice. I just felt for a really long time I had to cut myself down into small pieces to be digestible for, the world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. So, and I understand this very intensely. When you have a big personality and you are big, it's very hard for people to be around you that, and so you dim as many other areas as you can, because certain things you can't dim. You cannot dim your personality. That's hard. So I've always had to dim the exterior as well to survive.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah. And I think even just thinking about how I was sort of stifled, just people saying I think that the society I lived in really put men as the stand, the men were everything, And so saying things in my head, I was like, yeah, of course I want to get married. I want a man to find me attractive and to love me and all these things. So I felt like there was certain things that people said to me, even if it was in school, even if it was family, a man won't love you if you're that weight. A man won't love you if you're loud. A man won't love you if you can't cook. A man will love you this, and this. So I felt like for a really long time, I really lived for the male gaze. And that has taken me so much healing. And I think that was also a part of my journey, my healing journey, where I had to really cut off those things. I had to people made me feel like I had to put myself down and be this really minute thing for men to see me, for my family to see me, for a job to see me, for, for society to see me as somebody who is worthy of being in any space.
And isn't it crazy that when you live your full expression of yourself, that's when you attract everybody? Everybody
Literally.
wants to be around that light. It's funny. We had this amazing woman on the show, Judy Wilkins Smith, and she's like, you are meant to be big. And she wasn't just talking to me. She was talking to all of us, but most of us are afraid. And I know for me, I was saying, I think I was super confident, and then I just took enough hits that I just retracted into my turtle shell. And I just was like, okay, I can't take any more. And I'm now popping back out. And I'm like, yeah. It's a wild journey. This whole confidence thing and finding yourself and being okay, being bold.
Yeah. It took me a while to get there for sure. And I felt like I was on my journey to like being the woman, the it girl. And then about 5 years ago, I was in a relationship, one of my very first like serious relationships. And this person came and just like sort of pulled the rug under me, under me. And I was like, just lost. They had broken up with me. It was a crazy experience. And this is something like I talk about with my friends. It's like, I feel like it was that moment that like made me feel like, wow, I really need to get back to myself, because I had lost myself in this person and lost myself in this relationship. And I feel like this is something that, I feel like you've talked about a few times, but also like me and my friend group talk about that. I feel like women feel like they need this like crazy thing to happen in their lives for them to start like living. And that's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah. We talk about it here. Usually to live your life on your terms and to do what you need to do, it's a devastating health diagnosis, or, like you said, a devastating kind of breakup. It has to be something monumental where you now feel like you have the permission from the world to say, middle fingers up, it's about me now. And 100%. So for you, it was that. So what did you do? And I'd love kind of even just really kind of tactical details. Like, what did you do after that helped form that new version of you? Because you've now had a few metamorphosis kind of moments, I feel like.
Yeah. I was really lost in that point of my life. And really think like there was no version of me beyond this. Like it was me and this man. And I started going to therapy really actively. And that was really hard, like even to decide to make that decision. What got me to that point is that I was not taking care of myself. I thought like my life was over. This was my only person. Like I couldn't live without this person. And it got to a point where like literally my roommate came and found me on the floor, shaking. I had not been eating. I had not been drinking water, literally neglecting myself for somebody who really didn't care about me, And, to the point where like, it got to a point where I was like about to lose myself and my life, where I was like, listen, there has to be something better for you. Like, this cannot be your end and all. And so that was the point where I was like, I cannot lose myself and my life for anyone, for anything, whether it's this man, whether it's my family, whether it's other people's opinions of me, I don't care. And so I remember my very first therapy session, like my therapist, was like, kind of like seeing me. I think that was the first time I was seeing someone really see me and my pain and my struggle in that moment. And like, I wanted to feel seen for a really long time. And so that was the very first thing I did. Therapy really saved my life, actually. And really started my healing journey of like, not just that breakup, but everything. My experience, being in a different culture in the States, my healing with my family, my healing with myself and my inner child. And so I would say that was my very first step. and then like rediscovering myself. I think, as women, rediscovering yourself is so exciting. You might already know yourself right now, but like there's so much to you. There's so much power to you. And, finding like things that I love, that I want to do, that excite me, that bring me joy, that make my soul smile. And that was like, trying new classes or doing movement with my body, or, going out and meeting new friends and new people, traveling. And yeah, it's kind of like my little journey to get me to like really discover myself and me.
And so that was like 5 years ago, you said?
Yeah, I was in 2017. Yeah.
And so you started therapy. I think you said you went twice a week at some point, right?
Yes.
Were you doing
like
different
really
kinds of therapy, or was it just talk therapy?
It was talk therapy. I did a lot of dancing during that time in my life, which I still do right now. Something that my therapist used to tell me is that we really store so much trauma in our body, whether that's your shoulders when you're slouching down, when you're at work, whether you're like in the streets and you're tensed up, or you're seated and your hips or something. So sometimes just having your body in motion really like releases that energy. So I was doing a lot of dancing at that time of my life. So I would call that therapy as well. You know? So yeah.
And then what else do you think helped you get to the place where, I mean, when I watch these YouTube videos, you are just exploding off camera with just so much joy, so much kind of positivity, excitement, passion. What got you there? Obviously, you started healing yourself. Did Ellen happen thereafter, and Vogue, all of that came after?
Yeah, that all came after, and that was very validating for me and the work that I've been doing. And so I think sort of what continued to grow, help me grow in this space is the pandemic, right? So we were all in the pandemic. Everybody was alone, whipping up whipped coffee and making banana bread like every single day. And we were sort of like just isolated. And I was feeling really alone at that time of my life, and was still going through my journey, and felt like, I need some kind of connection with people, just beyond this space right now. And I just started posting about my experience, how my therapy session went, or my dancing sessions, and posted that just like on my platform. And at that point, I was, just like doing what I do and just like posting about my affinity for life and fashion and all that fun stuff. And it kind of just took off there. There was a lot of women, especially, who were reaching out to me saying like, thank you so much for saying that. I've been going through this and not been able to pinpoint exactly what this is, but this video made me, feel like this. Or thank you so much for dancing. I really needed that today. I'm having a hard day. Or thank you for saying that thing that you learned about in therapy. I needed to hear that. And, in this journey, I was also like trying to figure out what's my purpose. Because my parents were like, okay, you're in school right now, you have to do this and this and this. And, my other sibling is like a full-blown chemical engineer. My parents, he's doing exactly what my parents wanted him to do. And I just didn't want to fall into that. I didn't feel happy. I didn't want to do what they wanted me to do. And so I was trying to find my purpose, like, what else can I do, that will bring me joy and make me happy, and to also bring me some money, And so I started out with just like posting about my experience like that during the pandemic, and that was really exciting to just like hear somebody said like, I wore my crop top today out and I felt so good, or I wore this outfit and I felt so great and so sexy. And so when I started hearing that, I was like, oh my God, this is exciting. I really want to continue sharing my journey. And this feels really good to me. So I'm just going to go full send. And so I just was like, I'm just going to share my experience and my journey on this platform and see where it goes.
Wow. So that goes back to the point before we started our chat, the girls and I were chatting, and I said, sometimes, even though we don't want to have to live by external forces giving us inside validation, sometimes that helps you build all of it, right? It's those little wins that help you build that confidence in whatever area. So I was curious if you had those little wins, like when Ellen calls. I mean, that's extremely validating. When Vogue says you're the confidence queen, that's extremely validating. And so what I was saying earlier is sometimes you have to put yourself in these positions, whether you're nervous, insecure, underconfident, and go out there and try something. And then once you get some of that affirmation, you can be building those muscles. Then you have something to work with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I suffered with a lot of imposter syndrome for a really long time. So even though I was getting that validation, I was still, dealing with my own like insecurities of like, are you sure? Like me,
Mm-hmm.
and it was really hard for some time. And I think sometimes even right now, when I still get that validation, I'm like, I'm just doing this because I love it. I'm just doing it because it brings me joy. I'm doing it because I'm also healing myself, and trying to grow, as a Black African woman in this space that is still very new to me. And I think it's been really helpful, though, to have that kind of validation within my space and within my work, because it makes me feel seen. And I also, not even on top of that, I just want other women who look like me and talk like me and have the same life experiences as me to see like, okay, she's in this space, I can be there too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think my role right now and what I want to do is really just open up doors and open up spaces for other people who look like me to feel like, yeah, you can be here too. I set up this table, come and sit, take a seat, and let's have this space together. Let's take over.
I love it. So what tips do you have for the woman who's listening right now, who is underconfident, who hasn't gotten there yet, who maybe had a bad breakup or lost their job or is just feeling lost?
Yeah. Those experiences are really tough. And I always see those spaces. I mean, people can see it as different things, but I've always seen it as a redirection. A rejection as a redirection, or something not happening in your life as a redirection. It's going back to like the thing I talked about with my relationship. I really thought I was going to marry this man. I was in college. I was in a very conservative school. Thought like right out of college, this is going to be my husband. Love. We're going to do all the fun things and have the beautiful family. And was going to have a really mediocre life. I'm not going to lie. Was going to have a really mediocre life. But, that happening in my life really changed the trajectory of my career, my life, me as a woman. And so seeing those spaces as as those things that have happened into your life as redirections into being the best, the most iconic, momentous, fabulous, majestic version of yourself. Okay. And so the way I always see it is like there's a version of you months from now, even a day from now, waiting for you to do what you need to do right now, and waiting for you to go through what you need to go through right now to be your highest version. And like, that's hard to, that might be easier said than done, but it's really true. I really so deeply believe in that. And that you're it. You're the moment. You're like really are in your prime, and that go through the motions, go through the emotions that you're going through, go through the process. You need to go through that for your own growth. You need to go through that to be the woman you want to be.
I love that. I think, have you had other moments that have knocked you down hard where you were able to be conscious of that? Because I am definitely a lot older than you. And I think at this point, when shit hits the fan, I am aware that it is a redirection. I am aware at some point, it takes a minute. Tyson just knocked me out. I'm on the ground. It takes me a minute and I shake it off and I say, okay, There's a reason this is happening. I don't know why I have to go through so much, but okay, fine. There's got to be a reason. There's got to be a reason I have to get through this again or go through something else that's challenging. And you come out stronger every time. There's, like you said, there's the new version of you that's waiting on the other side. I mean, if we got into like quantum, and all of that, that, the timeline has already happened. It's just, we're just waiting to catch up to it. So that new version of you sits over here. You have to go through the work and through the pain to get to here. But once you get there, it's going to be so bomb. I think what happens with a lot of us is we stay in the pain. We stay in the why me. We stay in the how could this happen to me again? Or how could this be going on? Why, God, is this happening? And we get surprised by life's hits and life's twists and turns rather than expecting them and realizing, okay, we can handle it and we're going to get through it. And maybe there is a pot of gold on the other side of the rainbow. I don't know. I mean, right now we got the clouds, but over here, there's going to be a light. Do you feel like now you really see that pattern?
Yeah, but you have to put in the work as well, right? So, something comes and hits you hard. It's easy to stay in it. It's so easy to stay in it and stay in the dumps, but you have to put in the work, right? There has to be a point in your journey or whatever's going on where you're like, okay, fine, I've been in here long enough. Like, what am I doing next? Right? Whether it's a breakup, right? There's so much time you can stalk your ex and worry about like why they dumped you, all these things and be in that dump. But then you have to put in the work. You have to realize like, yeah, my life has to keep on moving because I just always want people to feel like they are the prize every single day. And that might be hard to feel like that even when you're going through like a hard time, but you are the prize. You have to realize your worth. At some point, you have to get to a point where like, yeah, I'm worthy of feeling loved, regardless of what has happened in this past relationship. I am worthy of great things. I'm worthy of success. I'm worthy of everything going my way because everything is supposed to go my way, right? And so it's okay to be in that space. You have to process things. Yes, be in there, stay in there, do what you need to do. But you have to get an up and out. Something that my therapist has always told me is like, when you're feeling sad and like things are going, on in your life that are not the greatest, you still have to live your life when those things are happening. I'm sad, but I'm going grocery shopping. I'm sad, but I'm hanging out with my friends. I'm sad, but I'm doing this thing that is exciting to me. I'm upset, but this is also what I'm doing. So even in those motions, like those things have to happen in tandem. And I think it might be hard, but then it gets to a point where you have to be like, when am I going to choose me? When am I going to pick me? When is it going to be my season? Right now. Okay. So that has to be like, you just have to get up, figure out what works for you. Going on a walk, jogging, talking to your friends, eating good food, sleeping, taking a shower, going to therapy, playing a sport. What is that thing that gets you up and out of that space? So you can have, even if it's 2 hours of clarity where you can do you, where you can be you, where you can find some kind of peace.
Yeah, I love that. Kelsey, Pooja, I'm going to the booth.
Oh, I'm obsessed. I feel like, I said it yesterday too. I feel like I always need these episodes in the moment, right? And I feel like having to go through your life when you are sad or when you do get hit and like making that mindset change, like you're saying, Achieng, like making that mindset change to be like, yeah, no, this is my season. And you know what? I am worthy and I am enough and I am X, Y, and Z. So I'm like, I think those I am statements, like you didn't fully say that, but like for me, that's what I heard. I'm like, those sort of things can be so helpful.
Well, if you don't think you're worthy, why would you expect
Right.
anyone else to think
Right.
you're worthy?
Right.
Retweet. 100%.
Exactly.
No,
though.
literally.
But for real.
The thing is that, the world sees you the way you see yourself.
Oh. Remember that. That's a tweet. Remember that, everybody. The world sees you the way you see you.
See yourself. Yeah. And I think it's important. Like, literally, there was a point in my life where I just did not think of myself as anything. I really hated the way I felt, the way I looked, where I was in my life. I was really depressed. And I would say the nastiest things about myself, expecting for, somebody else to come and say like, oh, but no, but you're this. But the thing that I think the hardest part I had to realize, and people have to realize, that love won't just come. The motivation for you to get up and do your things won't just come. The appreciation, the worth won't just come. You have to start. It has to start with you. It has to start with you, because you can't just be out here doing like whatever, hoping and waiting for somebody else to show you your worth.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting for somebody to tell you, you're amazing, you're a bad bitch, you're this. That won't just come easily. It has to start with you. And that's what I say. You have to do the work. You have to do the work. And if you wait, it won't come. And that's just something I've had to learn. And it's hard, but you have to do the hard work to be the best and the baddest.
This is true.
You have to put in the work to be the creme de la creme.
This is true. This is true. How do you feel? And did you have to make changes in your friends group as you were making adjustments to your self?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about that.
That's been really hard. I feel like friendship breakups are so hard. I feel like they're even worse than like relationship breakups, at least for me. I had to let go of some people who really didn't see my value. I had to let go of people who put me down. When I started doing what I was doing with social media and really taking it seriously, I had a few friends who were like, this is so stupid. Why are you doing this? Or that's so cringe. That's so weird. You think people are going to want to follow you? Like, I remember there was a time I was really focused on my platform because I really just enjoyed it. It brought me so much joy. And a friend came up and told me, like, how are you calling other people best friends when you have best friends out here? Or how are you calling other people random people on the internet besties when I'm going through something? I'm like, oh, I didn't even know you were going through something, I didn't even know you were experiencing this. Like, talk to me, like, tell me. So like really putting me down, like telling me like, you should focus on something else. This is stupid. This is dumb. Be better. You have a degree, do something with it. No support. And the thing is that I really wanted my circle to be rooting for me so bad. I really wanted them to be like, yes, go ahead. I see you. We love this for you. Nothing. Mm-hmm. Not a single peep was heard. And so that's kind of when I learned that the motivation will come. The support will come. You have to do the work. You have to put in the work.
Yeah.
And so I've had to cut off people who really didn't have my best interest in mind. The energy was not reciprocated. So why am I reciprocating an energy that is no longer there? Why am I working for something that no longer serves me? So yes, I walked away. And with the utmost respect, I said, I need to pick me. I need to choose me. Love you, but I can't be here.
And then were you able to easily find people that did see you and did reciprocate?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say easily, but I would say, yes, I have found, a great support group, just a group of friends who are like, we see you, I see you, me giving the same energy back to them. I think it's interesting, like just also in this industry to find people who have your best interest in mind. And I've had to learn that because when I went in, I was going full send. I was like, I love you all. I want to be your friends. Y'all are amazing. Let's hang out. Let's kiki. Let's support each other. But not everybody has that best interest in mind. Everybody has their own agenda. Mm-hmm. And I've had to learn to be like very, very specific about, the kind of energy I put out there and who I invest my time into. So it's been interesting and, a while to like kind of weed through and see like, these are people who really have my best interest in mind and vice versa. This is somebody I connect with. This is somebody who's not just here for, the clout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really challenging. Friendships are really challenging. I had a psychic and an astrologer tell me that this is my period where I'm going to be re-examining a lot of friendships. And I was like, oh my God, you're hitting me right at the moment where it's starting and I could feel it and it's continuing. And I'll bring up scenarios to my husband and I'm like, that didn't really feel good. And he's like, yeah, that wasn't nice. And I'm like, okay, so it's not just me. Because sometimes you're going to second guess yourself because you want to think the best of everybody and you don't want to have confrontational issues and problems and whatever. And then you always feel like it's you if there's a problem in the relationship. And so, I really like to take responsibility for things that are not mine, unfortunately. So I'll say, yeah, that didn't feel good. And he's like, yeah, no, that wasn't good. That wasn't nice. And he said, it's really sad that you're not getting that mutual respect that you're giving. He's like, because I see what you give and you're not getting it back, but it's because you haven't valued yourself on the level that you want to be valued now, thus far. So now, as I'm growing into my own power and growing into kind of who I am in this chapter of my life, there's imbalances. And I've allowed them, and by the way, this isn't one, two, this is multiple people. I've allowed the imbalances to be there. And so it's really challenging. And it was funny. One psychic said, you're going to have to really get comfortable with being alone. And the funny thing is I have been getting comfortable with being alone and it feels really good right now. But it is a really tough journey and it is really sad. I've had friends when I've suggested, oh, I really want to do this. That's stupid. Why would you do that? Or friends who have never seen anything that I've done. And they're like, well, we just see you as friends. And I'm like, that's great. But if I was a doctor, would you say that to me? Would you say, oh, I just see you as a person? You don't see me as a doctor?
They're a doctor.
I don't get the respect for being the doctor and having gone to medical school and done all this stuff. Like, there's a frame around kind of the uniqueness of what we do in this industry that can be challenging for people too. And it's like, I don't want you to treat me. I've never asked for any kind of special treatment, but definitely a little bit of respect. Absolutely. It's really, really challenging.
And I think also it goes with self-respect. You have to respect yourself enough to know when you need to walk away, when you need to invest in yourself into something, when you need to put yourself first, so your community first. You need to respect yourself. And that goes with you can't be exerting yourself to, exerting yourself or spreading yourself thin in a friendship, that is not giving you what you deserve, what you need. It's a symbiotic relationship.
Yep.
You give some, I give some. You go 100%, I go 100%. That's how it is. And so that's been really tough, because these are people who I have really respected and I have really thought were really my people. But it's about finding people who ride for you and people who you can ride for. And the thing with that being alone, I've had to sit with that for a really long time. I was really afraid of being by myself because I thought I would be with my own thoughts. I would not feel love. But then that's a whole thing. That's why I started this bestie thing, because I had to be my best friend for a really long time.
Yeah.
I had to be my own support group, my own cheerleading team, my own hype system for a really long time. And so that goes with going into the mirror and telling yourself, you are that girl. You're amazing. You can do this. This situation is yours. This brand deal is yours. This, whatever you want is yours. I had to be my best friend. And that's kind of what started my whole bestie situation, because I had to be my best friend, because before I could be somebody else's bestie.
I love that. I really love that. My husband will look at me and he'll say, you don't need anyone. Not me, none of them. And I was like, wow. But when he's saying not me, he means it. He's like, Maria, I'm telling you, you don't need me. You don't need anybody. And it's funny because we always think we need everybody and we need this and we need that. And really, we are all we need. We really don't need anybody.
You said that. Yeah.
So we have to start realizing how much we're investing in others to invest in us when we could be investing that in us. And in not a selfish way, in a loving ourselves way.
And I think, something I've had to talk about a little bit more on my page is this difference between confidence and conceitedness and selfishness. I think there's a lot of people who are like, you're so conceited, you're full of yourself, all these things. But also, why not? Why can't I be obsessed with myself?
The laughs from the booth. I love it. The cheers. Yes, it's true. Why? Who cares?
Why not? Why does it hurt you so much that I love myself so much, that I'm rooting for myself, that I am the love of my life? Why does that hurt you? And so I had to get to a point where it was like, this has nothing to do with me and everything to do with yourself. Okay. # self-projection. Thank you for projecting your insecurities on me, but I'm going to just wipe that off of me and put it right back because I'm going to root for myself every single day because I've got to choose me, at the end of the day, regardless of how much I love people, regardless of how much people love me and respect me, I've got to do things for myself because my parents have always said, you have one life, one life on this earth. You have one life on this tantalizing, sexy earth. You better live it for yourself 24/7, 365.
God bless them. So what do they say now, Achieng? I'm curious.
My parents have gone through a lot of growth with me, So I think I was just calling my parents. I was in LA, actually. I just got back yesterday.
Oh, and if you were here, we could have done this in person.
I know.
Dang.
And my mom, okay, so let's talk about my mom. My mom is going through her own exploration journey, right? She was married when she was 25, instantly had to be a great mom, a great wife, a great mother-in-law, a great sister-in-law, a great, daughter, all these things all at once, right? So she never had time to live for herself.
Or to think of what she wanted or what she liked. I know my mom, the same thing.
Yeah.
But then you know what happens? And I hate to interrupt you, but you know what happens? Mm-hmm. They see us doing our thing and they're like,
that's the thing.
What's going on over here? This kind of feels good.
Literally, my mom, I talk to my mom sometimes and she's like, I cannot even believe you're my daughter. She's like, that's insane. She's like, I cannot believe I even birthed you because she says, you're just living such a different life for me. Mm-hmm. And she's, right now trying to explore herself and the things she loves and the things she wants to do because she has always lived her life for her family and for the people around her, but not for her at all. Yep. And so right now, what does she love? What's her style? What does she like to do? My mom is a chef. She's chef's kiss.
My mom too. That was so funny.
Oh my God. Love that. And so she's trying to explore herself. And so is my dad. My dad just retired last year. He's loved bird watching for all his life. He just took up bird watching, seriously, really loving that. And so I think my parents now really see how much joy it brings me. And that's exciting for them. But also on top of that, they're also using what I do and what I say and my content as a way to explore their lives and their own experiences as adults.
Well, they didn't know any other way. They didn't know any other way. Are your parents stateside now?
No, they're in Kenya.
They're still in Kenya. Okay.
Yeah.
So my parents immigrated here from Greece. So it's kind of a similar thing, right? When you are of that generation and from these places, your life stream is to become a mom and to be that family maker and to be completely selfless. And so my mom, little by little, when she would come out to LA and her and my dad would stay with us, the hair would grow out, the outfits would change, the makeup would go on. And then she started loving it. She got to a place where she was like, forget everybody. I want to be out here. I don't care what they say. I don't care what they do. At first, they would leave here, go back to the East Coast, and out come the old clothes. The hair would go back the same way because they were too shy to be anything other than what everyone expected them to be. Everyone has their roles in communities. That's why community can be tough. It's good, but it can also be tough too. So same thing with your parents now. I'll be curious to see the ripple effect as they break out of their shells there.
Yeah.
How it
it's
will
been
affect.
interesting, they've come to visit me a few times in the States. And, like even my dad, like, was so afraid to like really wear specific colors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. It's the whole thing of like, I think Kenyan society is also like really rooted in what other people think of you, and what other people say about
Greeks
you.
too.
So, right? And so it has to be like
most cultures outside of the US.
Yeah.
That's why my big fat Greek wedding touched every culture, because we're all the same. It's very similar.
And so, it like my dad, I had bought them like, new wardrobes when they came here. And so my mom was like, I don't wear red. I don't wear red. Red is not for me. I was like, put that dress on, girl. Put it on. And she was like, it looks so nice on my skin. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Or my dad only wears like monotone colors. Like it's like a khaki jean and a white shirt. And like, a sneaker or like, my dad would only wear suits for a long time in his life. He'd only wear suits. We would be going to, equivalent of like Trader Joe's, broken suit. I'm like, Dad, we're like literally going to the supermarket. And so like, he felt like he had to have a specific image in the society, right?
Yeah.
This like very polished, put together man. And now he's retired. He's no longer working. He doesn't have to wear suits, right? And so, I got him like a little casual look. He was like, I want to look like Obama. I said, I'll make you look like Obama.
Aww.
And so Barack had this, I'm going to send you all this picture. He had a khaki pants, these Adidas shoes, and a white polo shirt. My dad would never wear that. And I put him in that and he said, I've never seen such a handsome man in the world. Yeah, it's you.
That's so cute.
Yeah, it's you. And so like, they're also going through their, process of exploring themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and I've wanted to talk to them about like, how is that as an adult? Because I'm doing this, as in my, formative years. They're doing that after they've had, years of experience with themselves and their lives. Now, my dad is 62. My mom is 58, trying to explore themselves and what they love.
It's never too late.
Exciting to see.
We put handcuffs on ourselves.
Yeah.
When we allow everyone to have a say in who we are, how we dress, and then we're just handcuffed and we're not free. So we have to break free to do it. And it's really hard. And it's really scary. And that's why I always love people leave for college, leave for, a job, whatever it's going to take, because it's really hard to change or to find yourself in the environment that created you.
100%. As in, I'm so glad I left Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
I think, my journey would have been whatever it was, but I'm so glad I left that space. Like, I always tell my friends there's more to life than that, that one strip mall, one bar in your hometown. There's more to life. Okay. Yeah. There is literally, the world is your oyster. There's so much magic to experience. There's so much you to experience. And I will always push people to like take the leap, experience something new, and for me, I feel like 10 times out of 9, it will work out. It will work out in your favor because you're choosing you and you're putting yourself first. And when you do that, yes, it's going to work out. Regardless of what happens throughout your journey, it's going to work out. And you're going to find the most amazing version of yourself. There's a sweet spot beyond your fear that is just happy. It's so fabulous. You're just like swimming in the goodness, in your power, in your essence. And that is fabulous for me.
What a perfect way to go out. I mean, God, what a cool confidence conversation. I really, really loved it.
I did too. The part about I really liked at the end when she was like the whole like selfish and being self-obsessed versus confidence. And she's like, and oh my God, because that's something that I think comes up a lot right now, especially in this era of like self-care and like all this. And you know what? Like, you're right. So what?
So
like,
what?
So what?
I love myself. So
yeah.
who
Yeah.
cares?
And
I
I
really
feel
love
like
that.
as women, we're told like, you're supposed to be selfless. Like you're supposed to put other people
Yes.
first. That's when you're being like, quote unquote, like a good woman. Like that's our job. But it's like, no. Putting ourselves first is not a bad thing. It's what we're supposed to be doing. And then we can show up better for everyone else if we're fully who we are and we're feeling our best.
Yep.
Preach, queen. I think it's contagious. So if you can have the cojones to step up and be your true self and to love yourself like that, everybody around you is going to feel it. Like I said, they're going to want to be around you. She went from people not wanting to be around her, let's say, right, to now everybody wanting to be around her. Because it's like the energy field around someone who's always trying to, when you're on unsteady ground and you're trying to be everything to everybody and then you're nothing to yourself. First of all, they know they can just keep ripping arms, legs, ears. They're just pulling everything they can out of you because they're like, all right, she doesn't care about herself. Let's take what we can get.
Let's keep going.
Right?
Yep.
You're all of a sudden you're a chicken wing. And so once you're
Truly.
like, oh, no, don't touch my peacock feathers.
Truly.
It's kind of funny. I have no idea where those analogies came
No,
from.
I
People.
loved it. But it's true. I mean, that line, the world sees you the way you see yourself.
Yeah.
Whew. I'm like, I'm writing that. I'm getting that tattooed on my arm. Like, dang. Yeah, that was really cool. I really enjoyed that.
I love it. All right, friends. Well, if you loved it, let us know in the comments below. And don't forget, you can go to mariamenounos.com for the Life Hacks blog. And what that is every episode, we pull the kind of amazing aha moments so that you can listen to this freely without having to worry about taking notes. The Queen's got you. It will be there. Also, not going to lie, our shop page is pretty bomb. Everything that I have researched and loved and use is on there, whether it's fashion or beauty. Take a look and have a little bit of fun in there. It's so fun now when I see, like on the movie, some of the girls were like, what do you do for your skin? I'm like, just go to my website. Everything I use is on there. I use them in different ways because you can't just use one set of products all the time. You have to shift and change. And so there are 3 different brands, I'm pretty sure. We have Juice Beauty, True Botanicals, and Dermalogica. Going in for my facial this weekend. So excited.
Exciting.
Oh, best facials ever. Anyway, so I use everything and I just kind of interchange so my skin doesn't ever just get used to one thing. And you need different stuff. What girl do you know that only has one thing?
None.
None.
I have too many.
Anyhow, we will put Achieng's Instagram and any way to find her in the summary of this episode as well for you guys. And in the meantime, be nice people, make good choices, and be present.
This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or mariamenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.